Is it running? Hi there, everybody. Okay. Well, this is Tehama County where I'm living. And some of you who aren't familiar with Tehama County, it's probably about a 2-hour drive north of Sacramento. Anyway, we're talking about, there's a lot of talk going around about starting our new state here in Tehama County, calling it the Jefferson State. Breaking away from Southern California and naming Tehama County our own separate state. Well, there's a lot of people that's against that idea. I'm not so sure how I feel about that, except that if they are going to break away from the state, or their separate state, and there's 50 states in the Union, and they're calling this the 52nd state. Well, I don't know where they got their math from, as far as calling this the 52nd state, when there's 50 states in the Union, my last count. Anyway, and calling it Jefferson, I don't know about that idea. Why don't they call it Oscar or Big Bird or something like that, which would sound like a far more hip name than Jefferson. But anyway, it has something to do with water in Southern California, as far as a water shortage and wanting to sell water from Northern California to Southern California, and it has something to do with that. I'm not really sure about all what's going on with that, because I just started now reading stuff on that, but it's kind of a lot of bullshit. Like, I was talking to this one guy there at the tobacco store that was telling me that they might make that a law to change this into their separate state. And I said, well, and then we got discussing Obama too, which is another big ass headache, talking about him. And about this Obamacare too, about that's going to be a federal law to make that official, that everybody buy that Obamacare insurance. And all I see that doing is pocketing and feathering his nest, along with a lot of other politicians. But anyway, if that's a federal law, and he says federal law has priority over state law, well, as far as I'm concerned, what has priority over any fucking federal state is the God's law. And my last count was the trust in God, because it says right so on the dollar bill that you trust in God, and that's what it says right on every dollar bill. So as far as I'm still concerned, God has the upper hand, and God's in charge, not somebody like Obama. He might go around thinking that he's a god or something like that because he's president of the United States, but that doesn't cut no mustard with me or people like me, because there's still a God, and I believe that this is not a godless country, like maybe people like that asshole wants to believe or come across as. And as far as his wife, when she first started coming out with some kind of a dictator as far as what was going to be served in the hot lunch programs, my kid Brandy was still in high school. I think she just was in high school somewhere. In high school, when they were talking about on a hot lunch school program that they were going to serve veggie burgers, and she was going to take out all the vending machines in the school. Well, that's okay, maybe for her, because she's off there in the White House probably slobbering down on caviar and lobster and crabs and dipping it in all the fat melted butter she can find, and eating prime ribs and T-bones. But kids in high school are supposed to live off of veggie burgers and not even have a Coke. But yet every time I turn around and see Obama, President Obama, or Barack Obama, he's standing off there on the sideline sipping on a fountain Coke out of one of those paper cups. He seems to be enjoying Coke, but yet high school kids are supposed to have the vending machines taken out. Well, you know something? Melissa Obama looks like fat like a fucking cow. Where does she get off talking about dieting kids? In high school, I had come across as some kind of an expert on what the kids should be eating in high school. But anyway, that's the way I feel about that. And as far as this Jefferson shit about Tehama County, that's okay, I guess. If they want to make this their own state, then we make our own fucking laws in the state. We set up our own jurisdiction and govern our own laws, like other states do, and have their own governor. Then we should be able to pack a gun if we want to. I've got a fucking gun right here, and I pack it with me. Every time I leave the house, I take it with me. It's got 5 rounds of ammo in it, and I take it with me when I leave the house. And that's what I believe. And if we're somehow a separate state, then we make our own laws. Other states don't believe in packing a weapon, but that's something we should be able to pass it and make that our own law, and vote in our own governor, and have our own, make up our own laws like they do in other separate states. Well, that's it. That's what I say about that. Amen.